welcome to our next employee spotlight. I am with Aaron and Paul from Automatic Water Conditioning, and Aaron has nominated Paul for to be recognized and for me to kind of drill him on several questions. But Aaron, tell me a little bit about why you chose Paul for this recognition.
Okay, well, I recognized Paul Ford. He started back for us kind of as a seasonal hire, temporary, helping us out probably about 8 years ago. He picked up things very quickly, and then as time progressed, he decided to transition to working here full-time and left his other job. And ever since then, every role that he has been in, he started out doing kind of salt deliveries and service, and then quickly mastered that, and then moved into doing our installations. And he helped kind of reorganize our installation process and make it so that the quality of our work was better. He brought other employees up to the level that he was doing, and he trained his replacements, and then he moved on into sales for us, and he's continued on that process of improving his role. And since he's taken over in our sales, our system sales have grown in double-digit percentages year over year for the last 2 years. He's brought that in, and to just the values that he brings for making sure that people get exactly what they need, and his ability to consultatively sell to people and understand their needs has really made him quite valuable asset to us. He also has done a fantastic role in doing this and making sure that our customers are happy from start to finish all the way through. And it's not very common that you find somebody that just picks up every ball that's given to him and runs with it. And Paul has done that nonstop for the last 7 years.
Dang.
That's why we nominated him. Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Can I get a recording of this for my next review?
I know, right? I'll send you a copy. Paul, you've been busy. What a nice recognition. That's crazy. I'm sure you've got a story to tell. So Paul, I am curious. Tell me a little bit about, how would you describe your role with the company?
Oh, I mean, it's been a pleasure working here, and it's in small business, you wear so many different hats. Currently, I mainly just handle interaction with our customers and the day-to-day as far as touching base with them and, providing solutions to their issues. I've done it all here, and it's great to be able to be involved in a small company where you can still be involved in installations. You can still be involved in the day-to-day service. You can still troubleshoot issues. So it's a great role to be in because you're never bored. It's always fun because there's always new challenges and things that you need to figure out. And I think that's what drew me to this company, was the fact that I've always had a mind that likes to figure things out and understand why things happen the way they happen and find solutions. So I think that's a part of every single day here, which is why I enjoy doing this so much.
Very good. So how long have you been with the organization now?
About 8 years. So I was working full-time as a sales manager. And this was a job that I came to on my days off to earn extra income. Honestly, the older I got, the more important work-life balance was to me. And I found that here because I could work Monday through Friday. I could have holidays off. I could see my family. This place is great because they're super flexible and understanding, and they care about their employees. So that's why it was just a logical move for me.
Of course. And I'm curious too. So I hear you started in sales management, then you got into route and installations and service, and then kind of took on that sales role again. Tell me about that, because a lot of companies really struggle with service sales, service guys getting into the realm of sales.
I've always had a sales background, and I've always been pretty personable where I can interact with others, and it's always been one of my strongest suits. So that's why I feel like any role I've really taken on, I've been able to kind of, do it quite well, just because whether you're doing service or you're doing installations or you're doing sales, you're still interacting with the customers on a daily basis, and you're kind of trying to grow a relationship with them. So I feel like that's why it's been a success, because when you can really listen to people actively and understand their needs, whether it just be, they don't like the way the water tastes and you're just a service technician in their house, you can, recommend those remediations, whether it be an RO or carbon filtration or whatever. And I think that's how you grow from role to role, is you kind of take that and you run with it. So.
Very good. So do you incorporate sales into your service, guys?
Absolutely. Our guys here, and that's been one of the things that's been a huge part of what I do is with how busy things are, you try to get as many touch points as you can with your employees. But I think that's where my impact is most greatly seen is these people see how I do things and they kind of try to, emulate that. And our salesmen do. They troubleshoot things and they recommend new. They don't just try to, fix something that's 25 years old that we fixed 3 times. They tell someone when this can be done better, and I think that's refreshing when you don't have just a robot going in and doing a service call. We have someone that's there who knows what they're looking at and knows how to better improve things for people. So yeah. I think that's universally across the board with all of our service techs here.
And I can't imagine the customer service from the customer standpoint as having that well-rounded balance that not only the person that's selling understands the technical and vice versa, so it's kind of a one-stop shop is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. And I think that's really important that, when you have a small business like that, to really put someone in a position where they're doing things like this, it's so key to have someone that's done it all, because you need to have that hands-on experience to understand and translate things, not only to your technicians, but to the customers, and have a very good understanding of what you're doing. So I think that's a pivotal part of being in a sales role in a company like this.
I think that's so wise. So what made you, you mentioned this family life work balance. Was that the main reason you decided to go all in with the company?
That, and then, it just, the culture here was just so much better. You work in a lot of places throughout, and you have some places you work that are great and some that aren't so great. And it was just the small family style, company that really drew me in, was just the fact that everyone was so well knit and, they care, and you don't see that a lot. So it was refreshing.
And you also mentioned the idea of flexibility.
Yeah. So if I need a day off, I get a day off. There's no question of if, they just make it happen, and life changes. You have kids, things, evolve, and they've always been able to help me out in any way they can to meet that need. So It's been great.
And I guess I would ask Aaron here too, I'm kind of hearing, that flexibility probably stems from trust that Paul follows through on what he says he's going to do, that he still will get his work done, even if he's got to take a day off here and there. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a handoff of things. So if he needs time, or if things come up, there's a coordination between that. It allows it. And I know that if he takes a day off, he'll make it up and he'll figure out how to make it work. And it's never been an issue. And for the most part, we find with our employees that we depend on them and they depend on us, and we it's a symbiotic relationship, and we make sure that we handle those needs when they come in, because happy employees make happy customers.
Isn't that so? And I think you hit the nail on the head with this symbiotic. It's this commitment to one another.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I mean, people have to rely on us, and we have to rely on them. They're constantly, people like Paul are out in people's homes, and they're the face of our company. So it's very important to have that relationship all the way through, because everything trickles down. So
very good.
It's very important.
Very good. So let's switch it up a little bit. Paul, tell me a little bit about what is the most challenging aspect of being in a leadership role.
So being in a leadership role, I'd say the hardest part about it is finding time to do the things that you feel are going to have the most impact. You're always running around in a business like this where there's always a fire to put out. And you want to be able to, do all the things that are important, like I've mentioned, those touch points with your employees to kind of really grow that business and that customer service aspect of what's going on here. I think that's the biggest challenge, is just finding the time, especially in times like this when, we went from being completely slow and me being able to be on the WQA and going over, courses and things like that, to now I'm lucky if I get out of here most days because of how much there is to do. So I think that it's just finding the time to make the most impact with what you have is the hardest part.
Yeah.
And luckily, with where I am, I have the respect of the people I work with because I've worked with them in those roles. So that's huge too. So.
Yeah, and it sounds to me, how many people do you oversee?
I don't obviously, Aaron oversees everyone. As far as our employees go from a sales standpoint, we have 6 total that are out in the field. So those are the people that I interact with on that kind of a basis. So
Sure.
7. We have a flex as well. Yes.
Well, the reason I ask that is because not only do you have to deal with your time, now it's navigating the time of, who's in the field and where they're at, that can get very complicated. And if it's not well organized, it can run your life.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Paul finds that out when people call him all the time from jobs where they're asking him about things. So he doesn't tell you that part. But yeah, people call in and ask him for his advice because they respect him and they know he's been where they are. So whenever they have issues or they want to look at how to address something or how to deal with something, they're not afraid to call him and just say, hey, this is what's going on. Give me your input on it, which, works out well. But sometimes I'm sure he's difficulty managing between making sales estimates and handling phone calls and troubleshooting at the same time.
Sure.
But he does a pretty good job.
Very good. What has been most rewarding in your role?
Honestly, it's you don't get it every day, but when you do, it's that genuine interaction with the customer where they have this really impactful problem at their home, and you can literally sit there and go through the whole process with them and help them understand what's going on and how to alleviate it. And that they're truly thankful. When you get Christmas cards every year from them, and when you get cookies dropped off, because they really appreciate what you've done for them and the impact you've made on their home. So I think that is one of the most rewarding parts of my job is just being able to have those touch points with people. And I feel like in the other forms of sales I've been in my life, you don't affect such an important part of people's everyday lives. In everything else I've done. So I think that's been the most rewarding part for me, is just being able to have such a huge impact on people's day-to-day lives. So.
Yeah. People are sending you cookies.
Hell yeah. Probably put on 20 pounds since I've started here. So.
I am jealous.
Last Christmas, you got this huge Harry and David stack of pears and chocolates and crackers from somebody, and I was like, whoa.
Dang. What are you doing to these people? Mowing their lawn and No, that's incredible. When people go out of their way to show their appreciation, what better way to show, see how you are impacting. So thank you for sharing that. How have you grown? It sounds like you've done a lot of growing, but how would you wrap that up? How have you grown at your time and over the last 8 years?
So, I know a lot of people say people don't change, but I've changed a lot since I've started here. I was in my mid-20s, and now I'm, in my late, getting on the end of my 30s here, and it's just the way I think I approach things. The way that consistency has always been a huge issue in my younger years, and as far as execution goes. And I think I've learned a lot of that from Aaron on how to, better myself in those respects and be more organized. So I think those are just huge shortcomings I had when I first started here. And I think that I've made big strides over the last, few years in kind of being better. And there's always more opportunities, but I think that that's just been a huge thing for me in this company, is just really developing those skill sets that I really was not great at. I was always great with the interaction piece and with the nailing the sale down, because that's the culture I came from, but really growing the other aspects of what makes someone a well-rounded manager is really what I've gained here, and I think that's how I've really truly grown.
Yeah. And Aaron, would you say he was open-minded to learning from you?
On occasion. So I'm a little bit of a needler. Like if I because it gets so busy, if I hear something, I coach immediately. So other people might call that micromanaging, but I do until I'm comfortable that the process. But I want to make sure that we're approaching things in a way that is correct. So I never want to have any. I want to do things the best way that's possible. And now Paul doesn't have to hear me, standing over his shoulder every 5 minutes. But unfortunately, that's kind of the way I am, especially when I care and I've watched how much he's grown and I see his potential. it probably leads me to drive him harder than anybody else because I know the capability is there. And he's stepped into it, whether he wants to, you know, put earplugs in or not is another thing. But
we filter everything here, not just water.
Practice what you preach.
Yeah.
I love this partnership that I'm hearing, and I'm sure that what you've learned in terms of consistency and time management have played well in being a family man too, yes?
Yeah. Well, what time you have being a family man.
Well, and that's
But
my
yes,
point is work can kind of take you away from that. So the better you are at consistency and time management, the more present you can be in your home life.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's rewarding to go home and not, you know, have 7 phone calls I have to take before bed, you know, and I can actually be present when I'm present, you know, and
Yeah.
that's priceless. It really is.
I love that. Very good. Do you have a funny story you can share?
So
These always make me nervous.
so I'll take it back to my installation days. I think one of the funniest things that ever happened to me. We installed 3 commercial units, progressive flow systems in an apartment complex, and I put them in. And then about 3 or 4 weeks later, we had a phone call because the units were constantly running the drain. So you know, you put a brand new system in, that's not a call you expect to hear 3 or 4 weeks after installation. So I went out, it was 2900, and I started taking it apart, and the upper piston was stuck in place, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I tried for the life of me to take out the piston. I literally had to undo the unions on the back of the unit to get access to the piston itself. Somehow, an actual physical towel had come in on the incoming line from the municipal water and actually got stuck in the stack on the unit on the incoming. And to me, that is the craziest thing has ever happened to me here, where I didn't understand how it could happen or why it happened, but there was literally a physical towel that I pulled out of the back of the unit.
So it was like a big towel.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, I mean, he called me and I didn't believe him, and he's like, and I'm like, you know, I'm like, how's this getting? He goes, he's like, it actually is on the incoming copper pipe that's going into the unit. It's a big building, so it comes in like a 4 or 5 inch line that comes in,
Right.
and it goes to these systems. So when people tell you, you know, how clean municipal water supplies are, we found that coming in.
That is crazy.
I wouldn't have believed it. When he told me, I didn't believe it. And then he brought it back. He explained where it was, and he pulled it out. And he's like, "Yeah, it's coming in on the piping in." And
The things we see in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
It was one of those things where you're looking at it and you see what it is, and it still took me probably about 2 minutes to process what was happening.
Because I would be thinking, like, did the customer put this here? Like, what?
Yeah, it was. But yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a shocker, but we haven't forgot that one.
No.
That's
Dang.
very unusual scenario.
On that note, I should just wrap it up right there. Thanks for the meeting.
Can't top that.
I got nothing else, right? Let me see here. What else do I want to ask you? Favorite quote or book that's influenced you?
I've honestly never been much of a fiction reader or anything of that nature. I try, you know, I literally think I've said Carpe Diem about 5 billion times in my life. It is one of my favorite mantras, just because literally I think that's a good way to live life. You know, just constantly having that gung-ho attitude. And, you know, I think that goes with the other favorite saying is, you know, why put off till tomorrow what you can do today? The list always grows. You know, you're always going to have this list of things you need to accomplish, and it's never going to get smaller. It's only going to get bigger. And if you procrastinate on things, you're never going to feel truly accomplished, I feel like. Right. So that's always been my big thing, is making sure I get the most out of each day.
I can tell, because both those quotes kind of support the other, yeah?
Yep.
They're very complimentary. I like that.
Yep.
How would you define success?
I think success is like an ever-changing thing. It's day to day. You know, like you set goals, and it's not about, you know, this thing at the end of the tunnel. It's about what's today. I think that if you set goals every day and you try to achieve them, I think you're not always going to be successful in every day, but I think overall, if you don't give up on those goals, that overall you're going to have way more wins than you do losses. And I think that's the definition of a successful person, is if they just don't give up on those goals.
Yeah. I think that's very wise too. I think sometimes we think of success as this long-term goal that we're chasing. And what I hear you saying is finding those small successes every single day.
Yep, that's how you win. I mean, it's those little things that have a much huger impact in the long run.
Right.
You know, the small percentage of the work that you do today is going to impact the long run 100%.
For sure. And that goes along with your carpe diem and all of that. Like, we're here today. How can I be successful today?
Yep.
You know, I love that. It's a good reminder. What would people be surprised to know about you?
I am a gardening nut.
Yes.
All I do. Yes, I love plants. It started as a passion for vegetables, and then it grew into perennials and, you know, flowers and things of that nature. That's my zen. That's my when I'm not juggling a baby, you know, or having fun with the wife. It's I'm in the garden in the dirt, and that's all I do. I love it.
That is so. I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, and every once in a while it brings me a zucchini the size of my leg.
I mean, there we're back to this win-win relationship, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's literally the last zucchini put on my desk was like this big. It's like a pumpkin.
I love zucchini. I like to make it into lasagna noodles.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I know where I need to visit. Hey, if you ever have any extra, then Aaron would be mad at me, right?
Yeah. I gotta save those for the days when I'm 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
You're offering, yeah.
You got it.
Let's see here. I think I only have a couple more questions for you. What does true leadership mean to you?
So, I mean, I've had a lot of employers and bosses over my life. I think a true leader is someone who leads by example, someone who's in the pit with you, someone who pushes, you know, with you forward, not from behind. I think that's huge. And I think that's what really defines a true leader, is someone that's willing to do anything that you're willing to do to get it done. So I think that's what a true leader is, someone that will get down in the trenches with you. And those are hard to find, to be honest with you. I've only had 4 or 5 leaders that I worked for in my life, and here's one right here. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it so sweet? But I think leadership, I think sometimes we think of leadership as something above, or, you know, something that pushes, and you're saying, no, it's walking right alongside.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So something that with me is I'll never ask anybody to do something I won't do. And, you know, and I let them know that. And, you know, if guys are having a tough time or they're having a rough day, then I'll come out and I'll help them with it. And so it's just why I was almost missed this meeting, is because I had somebody that had an issue that they couldn't resolve. And, you know, we went out, luckily they were close by. So I went and I tried to help them get through that so that, you know, they could continue on with their day. So
I can even say that this man has done things that I wouldn't do. I'll give you a quick story. So there's this one house that we have that has a pit in their backyard, and it is it's only about a 6.5 foot deep pit, and it has a wooden lid on it covered in moss. And I went out to this stop, and I removed the lid. I think the lid could have crawled away on its own if I had set it the right way on the ground.
a lot of bugs in there.
I am definitely afraid of spiders, and I called him and I said, listen, man, I want to get this stop done, but I'm not going in this hole.
And the roof of this hole, the pole's 6'4", and the ceiling in this is about 5'4". So, and the walls do move. If you put a light on, the walls run away from it because there's so many cave crickets and spiders in there, and you know, that it goes through.
He came out and jumped in the hole.
Yep.
Exactly.
Do it to it.
I knew what place it was. I didn't know he got to stop, and I knew how tall he was, and I knew how small the pit was. And I was like, "There's no way." I'm like, there's no way he can't touch the walls, but if you do that, you know, he's going to be crawling around the day. So,
good thing you gained that
the
20
only,
pounds, my friend, right?
Yeah, it's the only house in our entire, you know, log of 12,000 customers that says, Paul will not go.
It's red flagged, right? How can you garden and be afraid of spiders?
Listen, I have no problem if I can see them, they're in front of me, and I leave them alone. But if they're in a dark room where I can't see anything and they may be crawling on me, that's where I kind of draw the line. I can't do that. Too much. Too much.
So don't garden in a pit.
Correct. Yes. No gardening in full shade underground. Don't do it. Nope.
Oh, Lord. Oh, that's funny. All right. Last question I have for you. How is the pandemic? What has been the most challenging thing for you during this pandemic? What has it taught you?
I mean, I think it's all taught us all the same thing, that, you know, to value the way things were, you know, and to kind of try to evolve into the way things are now. It's been a huge impact in every portion of everyone's life at this point, and it's hard. It's hard for everyone. I've been such a shake your hand person my entire life. When I meet someone, you know, that respectful, hi, how are you? I can't tell you how many times I put my hand out halfway and I'm like, hi, I'm Paul. How's it going? But yeah, no, it's just been a struggle changing every aspect of our lives. I can't say anything more about it. You know, as well as everyone else knows, that it's been crazy.
And as a business, you know, making sure that our employees are, you know, protecting themselves, and then also trying to have that relationship with customers, because there's such a divide as to what people feel, you know, is safe or not safe is very different from home to home. And we're trying to make sure that our staff are as protected as possible. And I think that's been the biggest challenge, is trying to be respectful of customers, but also protective of our employees. You know, it's been a tough change, you know, and it's definitely a lot harder hauling salt and things and face masks every day. But, you know, but I think one of the things that has come out from the pandemic is a lot of people that, where we are, a lot of people committed into Manhattan, they've commuted in, they did all their work from Manhattan, now they're in their homes, and all their family are working from home. So we've seen a huge bump in demand, because now those things that, you know, I work 80 hours a week and I'm only home to sleep, basically, has shifted to I'm home all the time. And now that, you know, water quality issues and things like that have become to the forefront for a lot of people, because they're living with it all the time now. And a lot of people are home and a lot more using water. It's becoming a lot more important to the homeowners. At least that's what we've seen as well.
Absolutely.
So.
And that can be sometimes contagious, right? Because, you know, then they tell people and they tell people. So all the more reason for, like what you were talking about, is that customer service aspect, because you want to be referred.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, we've never advertised. We don't spend a penny on advertising. So we've always been word of mouth. As Paul said, we have a little over 12,000 customers that we service in a 21-mile radius. So we got a lot of people around, but almost all of our business is referral.
That's crazy. Well done, my friends.
Thank
It's
you.
a wonderful story. How has the EWQA contributed to your success?
Education, 100%. I mean, it's just been a huge tool. There's still things that I don't know, and I learn every day. But it's always been a great outlet for those questions that you don't have answers to, or the issues that you really don't know how to handle. Because obviously everyone's in different areas with different water quality issues, and there's things here that we hardly ever see, you know, that you might see, you know, in the Midwest all the time. So it's great having that outlet to really look at things and see what the best way to go about them is. The Florida convention obviously was canceled, but those online videos and everything that I went through, I learned a bunch of stuff just sitting at home while we were closed for a week or two, just watching them and learning how people approach certain things and do certain things. So just been a huge tool. And all of our employees do the training as well. So it's been great for them as well. So
very good.
So it's nice. It's always nice too to see new, you know, products that are coming to market if we get back into the trade shows, even the regional ones like the EWQA. It's always good to see, you know, local vendors that are OEMs that have new products out. It's always a nice tool to be able to go and see that if we get back to being able to do those conventions, but that's also a very useful tool that we've gotten out of it.
So kind of this one-stop shop with education and vendor access.
Yep.
You got it. Yep.
Awesome. Well, any other final comments before I let you guys go?
Nope.
All right.
Back
Well,
to
Paul,
sales.
it has been my pleasure, and I see why you were nominated. And Aaron, thank you for doing so. It has been a pleasure. So congratulations from me and the EWQA, and I hope to see you soon, okay?
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, guys.
Be well.